All right, part of that massive climate change bill, the deficit and inflation, adjustment, whatever you want to call it, is all sorts of incentives for you to buy electric vehicles. Not all the electric vehicles that are out there, but a good many of them. We'll get into the details of that in just a second. Noteworthy here is that Tim Stewart is among those EV buyers. He's the president of the U.S. Oil and Gas Association, a frequent guest on this show, and we always appreciate that. But Tim, that alone, to me, warranted a Fox alert when I heard that you bought an EV. So it flies in the face of this rip that we have of your industry, that it's anti-electric vehicle. But tell me what you did, why you did it, and what you bought.
Well, let the record show, Neil, that the president of the U.S. Oil and Gas Association also owns an electric vehicle. I figure, I needed to walk the walk as this transition is well underway. I actually plan to document my experience. My wife and I decided to go with a Volkswagen ID4, and to be honest with you, so far we're off to a bit of a rocky start. It's 6 months late in getting here, and I just got notice from the DOE yesterday. I checked to realize that that vehicle doesn't qualify for any of the tax credits that were passed by the IRA bill. And so, and the other thing is, it'll be interesting to see how much it costs and how well and how practical it is for a middle class family like ours. So we'll keep you documented and keep you posted on how this goes. All
right, two startling news developments there. You're the president of the U.S. Oil and Gas Association, and you say you're part of a middle class family. So I'm going to buy that. But kidding aside, I just want to get, why did you focus on the Volkswagen vehicle?
Well, because it's a sort of it's in the price range that a typical middle-class family can afford. It's not a Tesla, and to be honest with you, it is not our only vehicle. We've got a Ford Explorer, we've got a couple other cars as well. Got several drivers in our family. We've got 5 kids, and so we wanted to see how this goes with regards to where does it fit within sort of the vehicle portfolio for our family. And so, fortunately, it's not the only thing. The good news is,
you would be waiting for vehicles, even traditional gas-powered cars, because of this supply chain issue and all that. So is this waiting for this particular vehicle any worse than you would find if you were getting, let's say, another Explorer or anything like that?
I really can't speak to where Ford is in their supply chain right now. I know that we put together the order back in November of last year. We got noticed in early March, for delivery in March, we got noticed in early January that it wasn't going to come, and it just kept being delayed and delayed. And I understand chip shortages and everything else. But the good part of all of this, Neil, is my local utility relies heavily on natural gas for electric generation. And so I figure if we're burning natural gas to charge my electric vehicle, we're coming out even in the end.
I'm just wondering if there's been this push, and we had the CEO of Dodge on yesterday, as you know, that they were going to have a vehicle just at or under $30,000 that shows that prices could be coming down for these, and maybe make some headway here for consumers who are reluctant and indeed unable to pay those higher prices. And I'm just wondering what you make of that, and how it could affect those who now might be open to these type of purchases, maybe like you.
Well, it's true. The fact of the matter is you can't have an energy transition if the vast majority of your consumers can't afford the transition vehicle, no pun intended. And so, the auto manufacturers need to realize where that market niche actually is. And we applaud the manufacturers for trying to hit those price points where the typical family can afford it. Again, the issue, Neil, you and I have talked about this all the time, though, is we've got to make sure that the base load power in this country is reliable. And that's where I think natural gas is that bridge to it. And that's why I was comfortable in purchasing a vehicle.
You said you went for this particular electric vehicle and that you wanted to see what it's like, but were you pushed into this by maybe some of your kids who said this is the clean, lean way to go? Or did you just say, no, I want to give it a go?
I just said I wanted to give it a go. I talked with my wife, and when she's happy, we're all happy, as the case, as everybody knows. And again, it's going to be her replacement vehicle is what it is. And so she's going to be sort of the guinea pig in all of this, and I'll be the one who document it to see. And look, I'll be honest, if it works, I'm more than happy to tell people this works great for a typical family. And I'm also happy to point out some of the pitfalls. Frankly, I've got to figure out how I'm going to charge the thing. That was something we didn't think about.
That's a big issue. That's a big issue. And how far you get on a charge? Do you know offhand what they're saying?
Exactly. The range anxiety will be something that we're going to be looking carefully at. And frankly, just I go out to the garage and get the new charger put in together too.
Right,
So
right.
again, all these small things that you got to think about. But I'll be happy to document it as we go forward.
I look forward to that, Tim, but it does echo back to something you said, all kidding aside, when we first started chatting with each other, that you were open to all types of energy, all in on all energy, just not doing what has been happening in recent years, where it's bad to have fossil fuels and rely on them. You were saying back then you were open to all of these. Just don't replace one with the other or shut off what we have as far as our strengths. So much of this traditional energy here in this country.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we'll be sleepwalking through history, Neil, if the American policymakers don't pay very close attention to what's happening in Europe right now, because the climate policies that they passed in the IRA bill last week, we're only a few years behind where Europe is right now. And there's some real serious lessons we've got to learn about baseload power and reliability and local sourcing of that baseload power. So there's a lot of challenges ahead for us. But from our perspective, all of the above has always been our mantra, and we're going to stick with that.
And by the way, on that very point, I'm sorry my producer always get mad when I go over here, but you're such a good guest, Tim. We should point out that much of Europe, including China, is now embracing coal, not at the expense of some of these other green energies, but we're seeing a push not only for coal, but in the European Union, looking increasingly to natural gas, when and how it can get it, and even nuclear. So again, an all-in energy plan, which doesn't seem all that dumb.
Exactly. And the U.S. oil and gas industry is part of that all-in plan. And so we're happy to be part of that. We're going to be there for decades to come.
All right, we'll watch it very closely. One piece of advice I don't know if you myself, Tim, they're very, very quiet. So what I like to do is sort of sneak up on someone and just scare the heck out of them because they're so quiet. They're so quiet. So, Tim, let me know how it goes. Very good seeing you. Tim Stewart, U.S. Oil and Gas Association president, buying an electric vehicle. Who'd have thunk, right?